Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the NXT Losos, your weekly NXT review show here on the BC WrestlePod networking, podcasting, YouTube, Twitch, Dumb Syndicate, whatever we got called. We do a lot of things. It is fantastic. I am one of your hosts, Mikey. And joining me this evening, of course, is the whole entire crew of NXT Los. First and foremost, who had having a very busy week last week, Gend especially, going to his first TNA pay-per-view, which was a lot of fun to review last Friday. It's Mr. Papa Osa himself, Will. So I'm still jelly that you got to go to.
It really was. And it was even better live.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, we had some NXT presence there during that pay-per-view, so that was crazy.
Yep, that was fun.
So it definitely was. And then, of course, rounding out the trio is, of course, my homie from another mother, Mr. Macho Rodriguez. Hello, my friend. I'm happy to have you here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm very excited to talk about this evening and the significance of the main event. Very excited about that.
Man, I'm so excited. So a little bit of housekeeping, a couple things before we get started. First, if you like what you see here on your YouTube or Twitch screen, and you want to see a little bit of more of what we do, you can check out our social medias where you can see clips of our faces doing these reviews and talking about the shows. You can also find our weekly report cards for pretty much all the major federations in the shows: Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown, Ring of Honor, TNA, CMLL. We do a lot. And we even cover the pay-per-view, so stay tuned this weekend because we got a big pay-per-view coming up in the Royal Rumble for WWE. So we might see some NXT people in that Rumble. So that should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, you can always buy merchandise. Link in the description of this video below. We have hoodies. We have long sleeve tees. We have mugs. We have stickers. We have t-shirts. It is so much fun. Make sure to cop something for you and support the channel. So last but certainly not least, El Jefe's life is never one to be slowed down. So I will be here for a little bit, and then I'm going to tag in, Macho and Will to carry on the show because I have another business meeting, which is crazy out here. What is life right now? Anyways, so hey, but you know what? It's all good stuff. I can't wait. So without further ado, let us begin. So NXT this week was really solid in the sense that we didn't really get too many backstage segments, pre-tape segments. We kind of just stuck to a lot of the in-ring. So who knows? We might be done like in 20, 25 minutes. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited. This is going to be good because we kicked things off this week with this tag team match here. So this was Bayley and our NXT Women's Champion, Julia, defending, taking on the team of Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. I'm going to say this right now. I really, really enjoyed this match. I saw some people have a little bit of issue. There's just like, they're just going through the paces. I'm like, well, what do you want? Do you want them to go balls to the wall? We cannot get people hurt. Cora Jade just came back like not too long ago. We're trying not to get people hurt out here. But I kind of disagree because I feel like this was to, of course, put over Julia. Bayley was also part of the evening of Roxanne and Cora. We're starting to see the fallout, which, I'm here for, especially if Cora does the things I like her to do. So this has been an interesting story so far. I'm going to first go to you, Macho. What did you think about the match and, the circumstances about what happened later in the show in regards to this championship scene?
I thought this match was spectacular. I thought I could tell throughout the match that Bayley was leading it. I could tell the entire time by the way it was paced, because it was paced to her style. Because Julia doesn't work this style. She still works a Japanese style. She's brought a little bit more to the WWE, but she works a little snugger. Bayley doesn't really work that way. She works more methodically. I would say she works kind of like Randy Orton works for the men. That's kind of what she does. Everything makes sense. And I love the fact that Cora and Roxanne paid respects to Bayley throughout the entire match. You could just tell that they were in there with one of their idols, and they wanted to make sure that to make her look proud. So I think it was one of those really brilliant matches. I think for Roxanne and for Cora, this match meant more to be in there with a legend for them. And I think Bayley's objective was, I need to make all three of these women shine. And I think she accomplished her objective.
Excellent. Will, I come to you next. What did you think about our opener for this week?
I thought it was great. And and for all the reasons that Macho just said. Truly, I mean, he put it perfectly. Honestly, it was really good. I liked that the talent in the ring. It was almost like they were like they understood who they were and where their place in the universe was, and so it all just sort of meshed really well. And so I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It was like, I mean, it really was. I loved it.
Excellent. I agree with both of you. I think this was a really strong start to this episode of NXT. And I'm kind of glad that we started off very strong. And when we get to it, we finished really strong with the show too. I will also say this. I'm starting to notice a pattern with NXT that the way that they patterned their matches, we had a women's match, and we're going to talk about a men's match in a little bit. Then we had another women's match, and they alternate. And I'm like, I love watching the women be at the forefront and the end of a show, as well as smack dab in the middle of the card with the men interspersed in between all that. Again, we said it. We've been saying it for a while. NXT has turned into women's wrestling, and I'm never going to complain. It's like the most women's action we see from any company, even within WWE's main roster, every single week. So love to see it. This was fantastic. Julia and Bayley do pick up the win here. And to kind of fast forward a little bit in the show, Ava goes to look to speak to Roxanne because Julia is going to be defending her championship at Vengeance Day. And so she tries to explain things to Roxanne. Roxanne is upset. She blames Cora because she's the one that got pinned. And so putting the blame all on Cora's shoulders for them losing. And Cora, of course, not being too visibly happy with that statement. But Ava lets Roxanne know that at Vengeance Day, it's going to be Julia versus Bayley versus Roxanne Perez in a triple threat. And so Roxanne's attitude quickly changes, but Cora is not going to forget how she felt slighted. So she storms off, which then pushes Roxanne to go chase her. And then we come to find out, like during the picture-in-picture of our main event, I believe, Cora goes to have a conversation with Ava, and then they both go off screen, and I'm just like, I wonder what that is. The fallout is happening. I'm here for it. Speaking of fall-offs, look, everybody knows how I feel about the Grayson Waller effect. Very few WWE like in-ring talk shows do it for me at this point, but we're going to talk about it because, of course, Austin Theory getting over somewhat in Atlanta, which is his home city, which was actually kind of nice. But we have the Grayson Waller effect, where we have our host, Grayson Waller, and his friendo. We have his friend, Austin Theory. Their guest for the evening is Oba Femi, our NXT champion. If you've seen one Grayson Waller effect, you've seen them all, because it ends up being where Grayson starts to list the accomplishments, then gives the backhanded and trying to downplay Oba. Oba ain't got time for all of that. So he's ready to fight these two at any time, anywhere. And he even throws down that he'll take on one of them at Vengeance Day. So meanwhile, while this conversation is happening, we go backstage where we see Trick Williams watching this all unfold. And he's huffing and puffing about everything. And so while we're still in the middle of the segment, Ava comes out, reminds Oba that he can't dictate when and where he can have championship matches. She does, since she's the general manager, and spirals into Trick Williams coming out, getting into the ring, attacking Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, only to be met by Oba Femi giving him a choke slam down and beating him up before his match with Wesley. Again, Macho, I'm going to come to you first. Grayson Waller effect, which has some implications as we come to find out later. What did you think of the segment?
This felt like filler. It didn't really feel like a great segment. I wasn't really thrilled with it. I agree with you. If you've seen one Grayson Waller effect, you've seen them all. And I can't in good conscience tell you here that I like the repetition. I'm not a fan of the Jericho highlight reel, different every single time. You know, whatever Edge was doing, whatever his show was called, it was different every time. Carlitos Cabana, it was always different. This always seems like it's the same thing. I mean, you called it out. He compliments you, backhanded compliment. It's like, bro, you're not Meryl Streep. This isn't the Devil Wears Prada. Like, just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give my closing thoughts in a little bit. Will, I come to you next.
That was it. That's all I got for you. It was stupid. I was like, why is this happening? Okay, I'm going to go on a rant for a second, only because of a crappy ass day today. So why are wrestling programs not actually wrestling programs? Why are we talking a hell of a lot? Man, we talk so damn much. Who cares about these two idiots? Go out, Obafemi, walk your ass out there, face plant both of them into the ring, and then let's have a fight. I am sick and tired of people sitting and talking. When I went to TNA, the part that drove me insane was all the damn talking.
Night.
I literally was just watching this going, why do I exist right now?
We're just gonna drop this right here. So
Yeah.
the views expressed here do not reflect. Just kidding. Yeah. So
No, you know what? And if you like that sort of thing, you like people talking in between matches, that's cool. That's great. And sometimes it is. So, when you have your champion come out and they give a really good promo, that's pretty badass. But you know what? Put that at the end. Cap off your night with that. Just some of this, and don't get me wrong. Again, I like cheese in my wrestling. I do. I like it because I grew up in the 80s and let me tell you, there was cheese everywhere. But then the cheese goes bad and it's time to scrape it off. And this was one of those moments. Because one, it didn't make Obafemi look good, bad, or anything. It made these two douchebags look like douchebags because that's who they are. So it didn't really do anything for them. The only thing it actually did was it was like a catalyst to give us this stupid 3-person match at frickin' Vengeance Day or whenever it is. And that was it. I was like, why is this here?
So,
there are so many more creative, cool ways to get a match set up than this. I mean, literally, I think it would have been cool if these two idiots came into the ring and started talking shit about Obafemi, and he came out and he takes them out. And he's like, you know what? We're going to finish this at Vengeance Day. Drop the mic, walk away. I mean, it was just like, get to the freaking point. And then Trick Williams coming in. And I'm just like, okay, so there you have it. There's my rant.
So as soon as I saw these two, or especially last week, when I saw we were going to have the Grayson Waller effect with Obafemi, I'm like, I have watched enough of this NXT, this version of it, or NXT in general to know that somebody in either Grayson Waller or Austin Theory is about to face Obafemi for this championship, because it always ends up like that. If we end up getting one of these talk show hosts, usually that means we're getting a championship match either on television or at the pay-per-view. And lo and behold, it is going to be a triple threat for this championship between Obafemi, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory. My whole point of that is, okay, so Oba's going to win. That's cool. But we have actual NXT talent that we could start building feuds for Oba. I know that not every opponent is going to be like a Class A feud. We could have just picked somebody better. I mean, NXT is going to be showcasing Obafemi's power, but I want it to be against anybody else but these two clowns, if that makes sense. And, to bring up your point, Macho, when you said of, the turn, I was like, I'm so over it. We've been teasing this turn ever on the main roster. It's like a do it or get off the pot moment, so to speak. I'm just like, break them up or don't break them up. Y'all put them on SmackDown. Then both of them are about to be moved to Raw, and now they're here on NXT. No, break them up, do something. Like, to me, this is a waste of a booking, but it is what it is. Yeah. Which brings us into the concluding bit. Trick Williams gets manhandled after he manhandles Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, which then just rolls straight into the next match, which is Wes Lee versus Trick Williams. I'm going to tell you what, I love that Wes and Tyreek and Tyson are working as an actual established faction. I'm here for this faction. That's it. Like I have such a booking issue with this thing with Trick Williams of how we're handling his character post losing the championship. Because I was like, okay, we're going somewhere. Obafemi beat him in a triple threat. We got Eddie Thorpe out of the way. Cool. Where is this character coming from for Trick? I don't get it. It's crazy to me. So, spoiler alert, Trick Williams wins, or no, Wesley wins via DQ because Trick snaps and he just hits people with a chair and throws the ref. It's just like, I'm here for the downward spiral of Trick Williams, but it shouldn't be at the expense of Wes only getting this victory via DQ. I think Wes should beat him clean and we can continue to see the spiral of madness. I don't know. That's just me. And I hate to say it because I love Trick. I love Wes. This was not this match for me. This match was not it for me. And I'm so disappointed because I wanted more from these two. Macho, we talked a little bit off camera about this. What do you think about the match? And what are we doing with Trick and Wes? Like, what is happening?
I hate what they're doing to Trick Williams. It is okay. Like, Will, you said it best. Cheese is okay. It is okay for him to be the fun-loving, like, outgoing Trick Williams, like whoop that Trick. He doesn't need to have a vicious side. Not every wrestler in the history of pro wrestling needs to be the same. He's allowed to just be Trick. Hey man, I lost my championship. I'll get it back. I'll make my way up. I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. What is wrong with that for his character's presentation? That is him. I get it. I understand it. But this is just so odd to me. And then it feels like I don't think the same thing goes for him. I don't think every heel needs to be slimy, needs to do stuff to get away with it. Like, you can be a successful wrestler and like be a good heel. Kurt Angle showed us exactly how for years. He was never like a scaredy cat type of heel. Like, he was a pretty, douchey character, and he still excelled in the ring. That's what made us hate him more. The fact that he was that much better than everybody. This was odd. I didn't need this match. This match, whatever happened all the way through the end, the DQ, all of it, it just made me think, like, if they were going to do this, they didn't even need to give him a match. Just have them have an all-out brawl then. That's it. Like, I didn't need them to have a match here.
Will, your thoughts on Trick and Wes?
I love Wes. I don't know what's going on. Don't know why. I don't know what NXT's thinking. Where they're going with it, I think it's stupid. But because, again, for both of these guys, I mean, we know Trick, like you said, he doesn't have to be a douchebag. You don't have to make every single, face character have a douche moment. You don't have to. It's okay for Trick to be the good guy all the time. Yeah, he can get angry and he can get upset about things, but I mean, he had a mental breakdown in the ring. And I'm just like, why? And then again, can Wes not win something on his own without something stupid happening? My God. He's been back how long now? Let the man have a win of his own. Let's start moving him up where he belongs. I'm sick and tired. This is the thing about NXT that drives me insane. Wes, he left because, this, that, and the other was going on. Then he came back and we were like, yeah, Wes is back and he's gonna just work his way up. And it just feels like all they keep doing is slapping him down. It's like he's rising and they're like, nope, rise, nope. And it's driving me crazy. It's like, the man has earned it. I mean, truly. I mean, Trick got he got his due. He got that championship. And, and then that's when they started doing that weirdness with him. And I'm like, why is that? I mean, we've seen it across. Every time once they put that belt on, they become insufferable. And it's like, you don't have to wear a belt and defend it and still be that guy who will shake your partner's hand after a match. Why can't we have that? Why does it always have to be this?
I don't know what's going on with the booking backstage, but it feels like the inevitability is that I think Trick's final match in NXT before going to main roster, as I said it multiple times before, I think happens at Stand and Deliver. I think Stand and Deliver is where we get Oba and Trick. Oba wins, sends Trick to main roster. Cool. But you mean to tell me this is how we're going to get there? Like, this is not the greatest way to get to that match, which sucks for Wes because that means he's got to wait till post, Stand and Deliver to actually be in contention for this. I think that Trick should not even get a rematch at Stand and Deliver. I think, allergies. I honestly think Wes and Trick should have a match at Stand and Deliver. And if you want to get Wes that heat, you have a loser leaves NXT match where Trick loses, Wes wins, and then Trick moves on to the main roster. And then if you want to properly make Wes a heel, what better way to make him a heel than to have the lovable Trick leave NXT to go to main roster, and then you can make Wes this heel. I think Wes has the capability to be a really good heel, but I don't like how we're treating Wes. I don't like this here. Yeah, so that is my closing thoughts on all of this. So I am going to have to unfortunately tag out. I'm going to disappear into the ether. So I am going to tag in Macho as he is going to take over for the rest of this review. I will still be here, gentlemen, to run the things, but duty calls elsewhere. So I love you both, and you're going to do great. And away I go.
All right. So from here, we move on to Otzi and Fallon Henley. Or before that, we actually have the Oba Femi getting his world title match for Vengeance Day. But honestly, he asks for one match, right? Like he says, hey, I want to have one of them. Who's it going to be? And he tries to walk off, and Ava once again puts her foot down because she's a boss. And she's like, no, you're facing both of them. But what I find so odd is this is the power and the ruler, right? That's what he presents himself as. Did he not seem concerned about having to face both of them? Like, what is the presentation here? Just the booking decision was so odd. What did you think of that?
Well, I don't understand the whole need for it. I mean, unless they're just doing it for show, which is probably what it is. I mean, he literally could have taken care of them earlier in this show. I mean, easily be like, you know what, you obviously can't handle me, so let's move on. And I thought it was funny that she was slapping Oba on the hand for overstepping his back. It's like, all right, girl, fair enough. But yeah, he did seem a little concerned that it was going to be a 3-man. And I'm like, why, dude? I mean, unless you think they're going to tag up on you, which is probably what would happen. But I don't know. I just don't think the match is necessary. I don't know, because I don't understand the purpose of it. Truly, I don't.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with you. I don't get the purpose of it. The only thing I can think of is that they decided, hey, let's bring some guys from the main roster down here and let's just get Oba some wins over some credible guys. Problem is that on the main roster, A-Town Down Under lose a lot. So I don't know how credible of a win this is actually going to be. I would have just had, if it needed to be Trick, just have him go out there, have him beat Trick. Yeah. But it just doesn't.
I mean, unless it's like one of those, let's put him up against these main roster folks to get him ready for main roster, maybe. I mean, maybe they're looking at moving him up, which would be great because I think he's totally main roster worthy. I mean, he's literally beaten everybody down here. I mean, it's like set him up, but here's my issue with that is that we know main roster doesn't always use their talent the way they should.
Yeah.
And I mean, Oba is he's one of these presence that when he walks in the room, the whole room pays attention to him.
Yes.
He's just got that charisma, that personality. When he did his walk in this episode, the whole crowd was just there with him. I mean, the minute he stepped out there, and I would hate for him to go to main roster and lose that because main roster doesn't use him right. And when we've seen it with other wrestlers that have left NXT and gone to main roster, and it's just they sit, they're like mid carders, or they sit on the bench for the most of it. And I hope that, and I'm not saying that's necessarily what would happen with him because he is a very powerful individual, and I think that he would be great on main roster. Maybe this is a precursor. I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah.
From here, we move on to the North American Championship match with Fallon Henley and Shotzi Blackheart. And I got to be honest with you, I really enjoyed this match. I thought they played it really well. I thought it was kind of an abrupt finish, if I would say, but I loved how Fallon worked on Shotzi's knee, kind of taking away a lot of her. And then, honestly, I couldn't tell if the Shotzi's finisher, that she does at the end, I couldn't tell if it was her selling the knee, so she like undershot it. So she kind of fell, but it looked kind of dangerous for Shotzi more than it did for Fallon, the way she fell for the senton. But all in all, I thought this match played really well. I like how, Fallon is presented. I loved how at the end of it, we kind of have, well, we'll talk about the end. First, let's hear your thoughts on the match.
Well, I enjoyed this matches. I was kind of concerned. I thought for a moment there, I thought she really hurt herself, and they were just sort of, oh, let's finish it and kind of play through it. It's like, because it did feel, I mean, when she was taking the shots at the knee and everything, and then after that, things kind of got a little softer almost. And I wonder if maybe, and I was trying to look for something to see if maybe she had re-injured or something, but I didn't find anything. But I do agree. I think it felt like she was like favoring that, like sort of like, oh, don't want to hurt that again. So I did feel that, but I enjoyed the match. I like these women. I mean, and I love like Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. I just love them to death, and I love Henley's whole new aesthetic. I love how she has just taken this and just run with it. She's so different than she used to be. And it's so neat to see her coming into her own and way to surround her with these sort of super individuals, that just sort of pop. She just pops against them, and I just think it's so great. It's the same way with Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum. It's like these three just individuals that just pop with each other, and it was really neat to watch. I really enjoyed this match. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, I love how like Fallon, she finishes up with the Faymaster, and then she goes to celebrate all by herself, like she got this W all by herself. She didn't need the help. Right as she's celebrating, we get the devil herself. We get Stephanie Bakora. She comes out. And she just kind of stares at her, but Stephanie with that aura, just like not needing a single thing, just standing there, just staring at her, like letting her know, like, hey man, you do all the talking, and I'll take that championship from you. So we get the confirmation that this is the match for Vengeance Day, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm excited. I'm kind of hoping that Stephanie has to make it through either JC or Jasmine before this match, but what do you think of this, that we're finally getting this?
I agree with Stephanie. The minute her music hit, like I got chills because I was like, oh God, she's going to stare into my soul. Yeah. And she comes out. She's just the thing I love about her is that she's just so calm, which is the scariest thing in the world. Yeah. It's just that she comes out and she's just staring and she's looking and she's quiet, but she's stern. She's strong and she's like, there's no weakness there at all. And it's like literally you're looking for a chink in the wall somewhere and you can't find one. And that's what's so frightening about Stephanie. Yeah. And I love it. I love her. I've loved her since I saw her. I've seen her over in CMLL. Been one of my absolute favorite women wrestlers. And I'm so excited to see her go for this title. I really am.
Yeah, me too. I think that it's really good. It's a smart decision. Obviously, fans are very happy with Julia being the NXT Women's Champion. So now this is the best way to keep them away from each other. It's just a very smart decision. We don't know necessarily that she's going to win, but we're pretty sure. I mean, we're pretty sure about it, and I like it. But from here, we go backstage with, once again, the drama. We have Carmen Petrovich and we have Kalani Jordan. Before we jump into this match here, what did you think of the way she snapped at Carmen, kind of told her, like, you're not listening to us,
I'm okay with it because, I remember baby Kalani. I remember her when she was like just a wee bitty little wrestler. Yeah. And she has grown in her confidence and, dare I say, because she used to just take it. I remember when she would just take it. Now she doesn't take it anymore. And I'm all here for it. Anytime, and I'm a huge Kalani fan. I freaking love her. Yeah. I mean, I love Carmen as well, but man, I love Kalani. I will root for her any time that she's wrestling. I will always root for her because I just think she's one of those wrestlers. She's like a sleeper. There's going to be a day when the code word is mentioned and she is going to wake up and she's going to take a title from somebody, like full on world champion, something. She's going to snap and just be like this amazing thing. It's almost sort of like Roxanne Perez did. How she kind of like went from this sort of timid little thing to what she is now. And so I'm really hoping that we're seeing, and we've been seeing it, I think, over the last few months, we've been seeing kind of her rebuild of herself, dare I say. But I'm excited. I love it. Like I said, anytime she's on the screen, I am a Kalani fan. Or, it's like he talked a lot. I'm just like, wow, you talk a lot. Why don't you actually do something? And this was one of those. Now I'm kind of like, okay, all right, you've piqued my interest now. So as long as you keep doing this and you're this type of wrestler, I'm here for you. If you're a talker, you're going to lose me. That's just me. And that might be, my youth when in the 80s, when it was like you went to wrestling and it wasn't a good wrestling, event unless you came home with blood on you. It's like literally I was just like, which I did, by the way, when I was a kid once. I came home with blood across my shirt and it was, my mom freaked, but my dad was like, it was amazing. And I was like, it was pretty incredible. Yeah. It was a hacksaw Jim Dugan hit somebody with a 2x4 and the blood went across. And it was like, hey, I've got his blood on me. But anyway, if Ethan Page is going to do this, if this is what his thing is now, I will be on board with him 100%. But if he goes back to the chitter chatter, the smug, douchebag, I'm just gonna be like, I'm not interested. It's
Agreed.
like, I mean, you're a good wrestler because this was a great match. Watching him do his thing, I was like, heck, do more of this and less of this.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, we've already had that Miz character. We don't need that again. We currently have that with Max in the other company. So we don't need that version of the character. But this right here, somebody who handles his own business. You want to fight me? Okay. This isn't going to be a wrestling match. This is going to be a fight. You're going to have to beat me because I am going to demolish you. I love that about him. Also love the added wrinkle of changing his finish. The fact that now he's doing the twist of fate. I love that.
I noticed that.
He didn't do the ego pay drive or whatever it's called, and he did the twist of fate. I thought that was really cool. Loved it. Yeah. Well, from here we jump to the main event of the evening.
Oh, remember Javon Evans comes jumping in later too.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Who I freaking absolutely love.
You had Javon Evans come out in those beautiful band Jordans. The ones that Jordan Nike had to pay $5,000 a game for him to wear. I dig this. I love the fact that it's like 2-on-1, where it's almost like, we gotta beat this guy. I love that. Like, he's become such a heel, such a ruthless person, where it's like these two are almost like, we gotta get this done.
Oh yeah.
We got, and on it, I gotta tell you, typically I don't like this version of a story, but being that Javon is so young and he's not really all like together, I love the idea of Javon picking up this W in the future with the help of Cedric. Normally, I wouldn't want something like that. I'd want Javon to beat him clean. But I love the idea of like keeping Ethan strong as well. Like, yeah, let's get Javon that win, but let's keep Ethan strong. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, now we're moving on to the main event of the evening. And honestly, listen, I got to tell you, I watched this match twice last night. And then today, after I picked up my son from school, we sat down and we watched this again. And I got to be honest with you, like, I don't know what it is. I it's not like I've pushed my son in any direction, but my son, since growing up, like, I've explained to him things that I enjoy, people that I like, right? And his favorite superhero is Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Okay,
like, that's his favorite. Like, he loved the Falcon. Like, that was his first Marvel toy he ever got, was the Falcon. Then when he became Captain America, the movie comes out a day after his sister turns 3, and it's like, we had to buy him tickets. We got to take him to go see it. Like, that's who he is. And he loves Bobby Lashley. Like, my son loves Bobby Lashley.
Awesome.
And this match, like, my son would tell you, he'd tell you his top 5 wrestlers all time, right? And he has Charlotte Flair in his top 5. For men and women, he mixes them up, right? After this match, he came out thinking, I just sat there quiet, just waiting, biting my tongue, hoping to hear what he had to say. He finished this match and he was like, I don't know who this Lash lady is, but I love her. And I think I love her more than Charlotte. And I'm thinking, like, she's not even like a vet yet. And she meant that much to him. He was so addicted to Lash. He just loved, like, buddy, her name's Lash Legend. And she's like, she is a legend. This match, I thought it was exceptional. Bianca Belair always providing us with history. WrestleMania, she closes the show. First time ever, 2 black women closing WrestleMania together with her and Sasha Banks. And now we have NXT, 4 black women closing the show together for the tag team championships. This is the past versus the future, and the past and present versus the future. And this wasn't a passing of the torch, but this was definitely, hey, get up here on my level because you're this good. And it was perfection to me. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, this was, I know, see, Mike said this was his match of the night. It was mine as well. And I was excited for this for of different reasons, because Naomi was here, who used to be Trinity, who I was a huge fan of. And I was so bummed when she left. But then she's coming back and I was like, yes, and she looks great. And the hair and the neon and the black light. And it's just like, oh, I've missed that so much. So they already got me into it. And then I am a huge fan of Lash Legend.
Oh, wow.
I think she is, I think she's a legend. She is fantastic. She's a powerhouse. She doesn't just speak it, she shows you with action. She's not one of these that like talks a big game and then can't do it. She does it. And these 4 women of color
Yeah.
in the main event. I mean, just that alone was monumental.
Yes.
So, and I will give NXT credit for that one. Yeah, exactly. The whole time. And I watched this one twice as well.
Yeah, I found myself welling up a little bit. Like, I felt like I really do believe that wrestling is a love story. Like, I say that so much. And when I watched this, I couldn't believe it, because this would not happen back in the day. It should have happened.
Oh, no.
It should have happened. We should have gotten moments like this. Like, I think back to some of the female wrestlers from the past. Like, you can't convince me that Jacqueline wasn't a phenomenal wrestler. You just can't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know what I was watching. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she was ahead of her time. Like, she never got a moment like this. Like this, I wonder. I think to myself, when Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship, and we saw that video of Shad, and we saw the video of MVP, just silence. Like, I wonder, like, does Jacqueline do the same watching when she's looking at this? Is she watching this thinking like, damn?
And because let me tell you, I would pay good money if someone came along and did a professional, I'm talking like blockbuster professional documentary of women in wrestling.
Yes.
Going all the way back, and not just women wrestlers, but the place women have been in wrestling. That's I'm talking administrative or the eye candy on the side of the ring, and when we used to have, and then you had people like Cyndi Lauper, who used to be a ringside babe. And that sort of evolution of women going from sort of like the side attractions or the eye candy, we used to, with the the nearly naked women that would come, doing the this, that, and the other thing, to where women in wrestling is now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The evolution, and they've had to fight it, and they've fought and struggled and fought and struggled. I would pay good money to see that. And someone out there, if you're listening to our podcast, somebody out there needs to make a freaking like documentary or a movie about women in wrestling. I would love it. We've had plenty of wrestling movies about men in wrestling, so yay. Okay, now let's see.
Yeah, we are getting Ring Queen that will be coming out soon, but I think that's more so the start of women in the actual business. And it is based on a true story. We do have like Tony Storm's in it, Camille's in it, so we are going to be able to see that. But I think it needs to be said, because I think that we've said it every single week. I'm going to continue to say it. Hopefully it never goes away. Maybe this is their good luck charm. NXT is no longer just a wrestling show. This is a women's wrestling show with men sprinkled in. The amount of women that we get on this show, and it almost feels like, and I'm not even ashamed to say it almost feels like the men are the eye candy this time. Yeah. Like, the women are here to hoop. They're here to work. And the guys are just there. Like, oh, we're the bathroom break now. Because I'll tell you what, that Trick Williams and Wes Lee match, they're exceptional talents, but you're not missing anything.
Nope.
You're not. Like, I'm not missing anything. I mean, but this right here was exceptional. I mean, we're talking like Charmel, we're talking Alicia Fox, we're talking Jacqueline, we're talking Athena, all of these women that have busted their ass to be in this position. And I gotta say, it only takes one to make it. And I love the fact, like, I'm gonna mention it again, Bianca is there. Like, she is doing everything that we've ever wanted to see. She's making history at every moment. She did with Sasha at WrestleMania. She's undefeated at WrestleMania, by the way. People don't talk about that. And then doing this here on NXT, going back to where she started, and bringing these women up. Lash and Jakar will be on the main roster in no time. And I love it. And to imagine that the biggest star out of all of them, that she's out with an injury, like a worker's injury in Jade. Like, that they're going to push to be the biggest star, and she's out right now. Wait till she gets back. She's just going to add to all of this. It's going to be great. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it so much. Just beautiful.
It's so important that I think these companies, that they need to understand, and I know we're in weird times right now. I know we are, but it is always important to know that representation matters. And that's coming from, you being a Latin, of Latin descent, me being a gay man, and I mean, it's important that we see ourselves in this sort of thing, because if there's nothing like, I remember going to these matches with my dad when my dad and I would go, and they'd have makeup on, and the frilly outfits, and it's like, I know they're not gay, but I feel like I belong.
Yes.
So you get that representation, that idea, and it can change someone's life. That's the thing I think these wrestlers a lot of times lose sight of, is the fact that you're influencing people, like young people. Adults, they are who they are. They're, for the most part, they're where they are. But when I was at the TNA, and there was all these kids, I'm talking, there were so many kids at this event. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, wow, look at these wrestlers coming out here, and these kids seeing their themselves in that ring, on that stage, on television. I mean, it matters. It changes lives. Wrestling, believe it or not, folks, wrestling changes lives. It really does. And I know that wrestling fans get a really bad rap of being kind of trashy. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, because it exists in every universe. But for the most part, standing in the line when I was waiting to go in, and I know I'm going off on a side, but I'm kind of, it's sort of in this, but standing in the line and listening to these people talk to each other was such a lesson, because again, you go, a lot of people, because I took my husband with me, and he has never been to anything like this before. Like, this was so foreign to him. He was giggling and laughing because some of the people, what they were talking about, and I was like, yeah, these are the fans, man. They are so into this. These wrestlers, they have this much passion when they talk about these people they've probably either never met or have briefly met, but has influenced them in some way, in a positive way, because we never heard, any negative, there was no negativity. It was all positivity based on who was speaking. And yeah, there were lively debates and things like that, but it was so amazing. So matches like this matter, women's matches matter, men's matches matter, but and the thing is that I'm happy about is that NXT is so diverse, like truly diverse in race, orientation, I mean, everything.
Agreed.
And it's also wonderful to see that it's not stereotyped, because that's the other thing that wrestling used to do. It's like back in the day.
Absolutely.
But now it's so, like, one of my favorites is Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe's one of my favorites. He's a Native American. He's truly Native American. His whole thing is a tribute to his people. And I freaking love that. So this main event on this thing was earth-shattering for me.
Agreed. And I love that you brought up the point of the kids, because I said in a video earlier today, there is little boys and girls that watch this match that thought to themselves, I'm going to do that. Just like we've seen the videos in the past of AJ Lee crying, meeting Lita, and then Cora Jade meeting AJ. Like, we've seen those videos. We're going to see videos of little kids that say, this is the match. Like, when you hear, like, they have specials on Peacock and things like that, and Adam Cole talks about what Stone Cold and The Rock at WrestleMania 17 meant to him as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and I'm like, okay, like, that's exactly right. That's what we're going to see here. There will be little kids, boys and girls, from all different backgrounds that saw this match.
I'm going to do that. Look at me. I can do that. I could do that. If they can do that, I could do that. Look at me. Exactly. What makes me any different? I love that. I think, like I said, wrestling can change lives.
Agreed. It definitely can. I love it. Yeah, after this match, we have the wrap of the show, but kind of a weird wrap, right? I mean, we have this weird little Vengeance Day thing. Do you have any thoughts on it? I don't necessarily have a lot of thoughts. I know Mikey thinks that it might have some Hardy Boy,
which would be awesome. But no, I honestly, truly, when this happened, I thought my internet went down.
Okay.
What's happening? I was like,
what just happened? It more confused me. But then when I jumped on like TikTok and then Twitter, I was like, oh, no. This is like a thing. It's a word.
Yep.
Like something.
It was like an actual thing. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give it to it's the whole suspenseful like draw, man. NXT's good at that. I will give it to them. They'll drop these random things and it just has you scratching your head for 2 weeks. What does this mean? I mean, TNA just did it with their 23. What does it mean? Oh my goodness, blah 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 blah. And then we found out, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. But it was just like this when this popped on, because I had to go back and watch it because I thought like the program went off the air and they just didn't cut. So I was like, so I went back and watched it again, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's a promo for Vengeance Day. Okay, I got it now, but I don't know. It's like, does it mean somebody's going off the air on Vengeance Day? What? I
guess we'll find out. Yeah.
Yep.
That about wraps up our show here. I mean, Will, is there anything that I want to tell the audience?
Other than our outro stuff, or do you have like final thoughts?
Oh, I think
what would you like?
We kind of went over that. I think this is a beautiful women's wrestling program. I love the fact that the men have become the bathroom break now, and I'm excited for that. I mean, I think that's great.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, this is a great moment. It was a history-making moment, monumental, and be made on a normal Tuesday night. You can make history whenever. We make history every single day. So I love the fact that we got that on a random night. They led into the match really well. They talked about it a lot. I thought this was great. I got to tell you, my favorite part before we sign off here, I want to say is I was worried after Monday Night Raw that Liv and Raquel were going to somehow get involved. And I was like, please, the whole time I'm panicking. I'm like nervous. I'm like getting a little sweaty, almost having an anxiety attack. I'm like, please don't ruin this history-making match. I was like, he does not work here anymore. He has nothing to do with the company anymore. Don't pull a Vince. That's all I kept thinking, and I was so we just had a real, so.
Cool. I mean, I thought that the episode itself, I thought was a pretty decent episode. I mean, like as I was telling Mikey earlier, and you as well, I was just in a foul mood today, so everything just sort of set me off. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and then the main event absolutely made the night just like chef's kiss.
Agreed.
And just moved me. So I was like, well done. Well done, NXT. Let's see if you can do it again next week. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if there's nothing else, if you've got nothing else, then, thanks for watching, everybody. Please, go and follow us on the social medias, the YouTubes, the Blue Skies, and all the other socials. I don't think we're on Twitter anymore, but go to the other ones. Follow us. Check us out. Especially go subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out our merch and all that wonderful things. And just remember that, like as I said, wrestling can change lives. You deserve to finish your story. So until we see you again, this is adios, ciao, aloha.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.